In this video, I'm going to discuss why creating and building an emergency fund is so important. Hi there, I'm Sean with Families Creating Financial Freedom, and in this video I'm going to talk about something that's really important but often overlooked: saving for emergencies. A lot of people think that it's not necessary or they can't afford to do it, but I'm here to tell you it's one of the smartest things you can do for yourself and your family. So stick around and I'll explain why. So let me start by covering the obvious. What is an emergency fund? It's money that you have set aside and built up and earmarked just for emergencies so that you could live for months potentially or cover large expenses if something were to happen. Let me also clear something up. Question: can it be used for wants? Answer: no, that is not its purpose. If you want, or your kids want, or your spouse wants something new and shiny or pretty, that is not something for the emergency fund. That emergency fund is intended to protect you and your family financially if something comes up. The recent pandemic is an excellent example of why you need an emergency fund. So much of the world went into a lockdown, and for many, that meant no income. Without an emergency fund, people were left going into their retirement or losing everything and moving in with family or whomever to simply survive. Another good example of why you need an emergency fund is if you have a major expense like the engine in your car or your heat pump in your home, things like that. You're in a one down position if you don't have an emergency fund and something happens where you wind up leaning on a high interest credit card or taking out a high interest loan through whatever institution to cover that expense. You want to build an emergency fund that prevents you from having to go to an outside resource and putting them in control. You want to stay in control. Another example is, what if you became sick or injured in a serious way, something that went on for an extended period? It might be outside of work where work's not going to pay you. It might be beyond the sick time that you've built up. Whatever the reason, you've still got to pay the bills. And so an emergency fund is there to help you. A good comparison is, think of yourself as the ATM in your house. If your family couldn't walk up and get money to cover those expenses, getting money out of the ATM, how is it going to survive? So if the ATM quit putting out money, where's it going to go? To an emergency fund. Very, very important. The next question you should ask is, how much should I have an emergency fund? I tell you, it is a two-tiered step. First, you should save up initially 6 months of expenses. If you know that from your budget that you need Y every month, multiply that times 6, and that should be the first immediate goal of creating an emergency fund. After that, then you should work towards 12 months. Why define it as 6 and 12? Well, you need 6 months that you can put your hands on immediately. The second 6 months, you could put in a relatively safe investment that might take a little bit longer, a week, 2 weeks for you to get hold of, but you could still put your hands on it. You don't want to lose opportunity by having too much money liquid, not earning or working for you, but you do need some immediately available, and then having a second tier savings account for that extended emergency is also critical. Trust me when I say building an emergency fund not only gives you peace of mind, but while you're on the road to financial freedom, it's not also about eliminating debts. It's about protecting you from new surprise debts. Hope this has been helpful, eye-opening, made you think. Until the next video, take care.